Welcome to Hope on Fire, relevant talk radio for young adults. Whether you're 25 or 45, there's bound to be a discussion that you care about. Our mission is to share practical ways to find God in your everyday life. And now let's join today's host, Rick Mann.
For some, the phrase Christian drama might be an oxymoron, a seeming contradiction in terms. I mean, how could something like acting that is so secularly based ever be adapted to be used in church, let alone ever be considered a form of worship? An actor, by definition, is someone who pretends to be something that they are not. The term theatrical implies something that is showy or purely entertaining. And for some, hardly something that could ever be considered a legitimate part of worship. Well, this week on Hope on Fire, we're going to be talking about drama ministry and its place in today's contemporary church. Why do some people have a problem with it while others view it as their God-given talent? How can it be used for God's greater glory and be an effective part of ministry and worship? Well, hopefully after today's program, you'll gain some new insight into this very creative ministry. I'm joined by quite a panel of distinguished, seasoned Christian drama veterans. Is that a good way of maybe putting that? Yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah. Well, I know all three of you from doing Christian drama for quite a long time here in Central Florida. First of all, we have Craig Moore. Craig, welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Craig's done everything from Christian drama on the college level and at the churches, and you've directed college troops and high school groups before, too. So we're glad you're here. Tami Cinquemani, thank you for joining us. Same thing to you. You got lots of experience, and you're the script writer among us, so might have a couple script writing questions thrown at you, so we're glad that you're here. And John Tary, well, I don't know how to, I needed to fill a chair, so John, you're here. No, I'm just joking. But you've done lots of drama with us as well, and glad that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm glad I can fill the chair.
Oh, good. Well, let me just throw out a question to get us started. Why do you guys do Christian drama? Why is that something that you take the time out of your busy schedules, professionally? I mean, none of us are professional actors. I mean, why do you guys do Christian drama? Craig?
Well, I believe drama is a talent. I mean, I think it's like any other talent that God gives you. I enjoy public speaking. And in terms of just trying to be a part of a worship service and adding to that, I can't sing, so no, I just think it's another way to use my talent to the glory of God.
That's awesome.
And to be an adjunct to the worship service.
Right. How about you, Tami?
I think for me, it's mostly the fact that I did not grow up with a Christian background, and so there's nothing that I enjoy more than introducing people to who Christ is. And to me, it's one of the best vehicles to reach people where they're at. And the response has been wonderful. I mean, I think people understand a lot when they see something instead of just hearing something. And so to me, it's just it's a great form of evangelism.
Well, awesome. How about you, John?
Well, see, I'm a little different. Mine was really for the money and fame. And of course, I think all of us would probably say the same thing. It's been an avenue for me to be able to express, my personality and witnessing for God. As Craig, we would not do a very good job as a duet because I probably would make him sound good. Right. So we could go that direction. But yeah, it's been an opportunity for me to be able to at least share my faith.
Right. And I think that's been the same thing for me. I mean, with doing drama, it's been one of those things where that's what my talent is, some sing, some people preach, and some people perform, and that's just one of the things that I've always really enjoyed about it is using the talent that God has given me to do something for Him. But unfortunately, some people have a problem with Christian drama. So let me just throw that out. Why do you think, what are some of the criticisms that you guys have heard, or not necessarily against you, but just Christian drama in general? What do you think are some of the roadblocks or stumbling blocks that people have with Christian drama in general?
Too secular.
Too secular?
I think, yeah. That's been the biggest thing.
Now, why is that? Why do you think? Just because acting has traditionally been a secular medium?
Well, let's face it, there's definitely some acting and theatrical stuff out there that probably are not things for Christians to participate in. And so some people feel like you should stay away completely from everything that has to do with that type of performance issue.
Okay.
And I think that for some people, bringing that into the church is very offensive.
Gotcha. What else?
I think people also see it purely as an entertainment value. And, I think what makes Christian drama different is, the motive. I mean, we're doing it for God's glory. And I think people get caught up in the idea that, well, they're just people up there on stage trying to show off and entertain people and make people laugh, and are missing out on the deeper meaning of the sketch or the production itself.
Well, the thing that I guess kind of is challenging, that if you look at theater or at acting in general as something that's bad because, well, other people use that for bad purposes outside the church, you could say the same thing with pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just we got rap singers and songs that I don't want my kid to ever listen. Does that mean we just stop doing music in the church?
Well, I think we all, or at least for me personally, I struggle with that word when they call it entertainment. I mean, I really do struggle with that, because entertainment to me is something that I do for fun. And I know if you haven't heard me say it, I'll say it. It's something I do to go, woohoo. I go to the water parks. I mean, I'm seeing, fireworks. Those are entertainment things to me. And so I struggle with our Christian dramas being referred to as entertainment. I refer to it as a medium to express a message in a different way, in a different look, And like you said, with the music, there are many music styles that we should avoid as a Christian. But we're not going to remove music from our church.
Right.
So as when we say it, there are many shows that we should not be viewing. But why am I removing that potential, resource from my church?
Well, you have to be careful, because you say, I don't think you meant it this way, but you said, we had to be careful what kind of music styles we bring into the church. And I would say, well, styles are going to be kind of what you like. Some people aren't going to like the organ music, while other people aren't going to like the rap music. And obviously you have to cater to your audience and what's appropriate. But I guess, why do you think then that what would be an argument then for Christian drama? Why should it be considered a legitimate form of ministry?
I think personally, if you're a missionary, you're going to a different country, you learn the language, you learn the customs, you learn how you can best minister and attract those people. The fact is, we are in a mission area. There are people out there who don't know Christ. My understanding as a Christian is that that's what Christ wants me to do, is introduce him to those people. So I need to understand their culture. I need to understand the language that they speak, whether it's the type of music, the type of entertainment they go to, whatever. And it needs to be something that's appealing to them, that they are going to enjoy, want to actually open themselves up to, in order to, if I'm going to reach them at all, if I'm going to speak to them. So to me, it's kind of a language issue.
Okay.
And I think, Christ used drama. I think pastors use drama. I think about an average sermon, it starts with a story. It starts with the pastor painting a picture. Well, you're painting that picture in your head. What's the difference between painting the picture in your head and seeing it on the stage? As I think about Jesus' parables, when he was talking about the lost coin, I can see him picking up a coin, playing with it in his fingers, or when he's talking about the sheep. The sheep are on the mountainside, and he's painting that picture for the audience to see. And I think drama can be used in the same way, to paint a picture either before the sermon or after the sermon, to be an adjunct to the message.
A lead-in.
Right.
Yeah, what we're talking about, the most of our drama experience has been typically in a church service as a lead-in to the sermon, or an illustration for the sermon. Now, we've done a lot of other things together in different areas, that are more standalone and full-blown performances as well. But, I really like what you were saying, Tami, is that what we have to understand is that today's society, whether we like it or not, is a visually stimulated society. Entertainment, whether we like it or not, is all around us, and people's learning styles have been affected by that. We don't learn just by reading anymore. Because of TV, we've all grown up with TV. We've grown up with different types of inputs as far as how we learn. And at least for me, what I've seen is that every day, with different learning styles out there, drama really kind of will flip a switch in one person where a sermon might not. Or music might not. And there's other people that are just the opposite, where seeing it in a drama isn't going to flip their switch, but music will. That chorus, or a really good dynamic speaker might.
Well, real quick, you mentioned education, and of course, everybody on this panel knows I was a teacher for 7 years, and in the education field, I would never stop and say, "This is new, and I'm not going to use it to help my student learn. I'm just going to stay with the lecture style, and they will doggone it, tough it out, and do this." Okay, you're going to do this because I had to do it when I was there. I'm going to take every resource I have, and I'm going to present this material to you however I can to get it across to you, to learn it and understand it. And so if I think a church is utilizing the opportunity to get the material, this information out there, let's utilize it. As long, and of course, I'm sure we'll get into it done correctly.
That's funny because that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that the thing we need to really state here, though, is the fact that there's a difference between just doing drama, and there's a difference in doing drama with excellence or doing drama well. It's a difference between contributing and detracting from.
Right.
What
And,
you're trying to do.
I think hopefully in the second half of our show, those in our audience who are looking to do drama maybe for the first time, or maybe have started a drama ministry, we're going to give them some tips on how they can improve that. But, it's kind of interesting because you mentioned this already, and I maybe want to kind of end this question as we head out, getting close to the break. What is the difference then between secular drama and Christian drama? I mean, if you could define the difference, and I'll give you a hint. Someone's already told us the answer, but I want to kind of address it again because it's an important one. And the reason why I asked you guys why you do drama at the very beginning before we started talking about why people have a problem with it, because I want to put a personal spin to this. I mean, but what's the difference between regular, going to a movie and then seeing something acted out on stage in church?
Well, I'm a visual learner, so could you give that hint by pointing?
Who gave it? It was Craig, I think, mentioned it, yeah. So
I think motivation. We have a tendency to do motivation. I would hope that a Christian drama group was working for the glory of God.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with being outside theater, because I'm sure some of us have either had interest and or done it because it is fun. We enjoy that. And that's for the entertainment factor. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference for me.
And that's, I think, really the crux of the matter is why we do it. And the thing is that, people, I think, have a problem with anything different in worship because they tend to be traditionalists. And so they want the music just a certain way. They want the sermon to go a certain way. The call to worship has to be at a certain place. And we're not saying that that's not, the way that church, shouldn't be done. But I think what happens is when someone comes in and does something drastically different, they question the motives of the person. And especially with something, again, like I said, talking about theatrical performances, is that they don't really understand, or they maybe put blinders up and don't want to see that the people that are doing it for the right reasons.
Right.
Just like a pastor who's very, very good at speaking and has a very large congregation, that can get to someone's ego. That can inflate someone artificially and say, wow, look at me, not look at God. Someone who sings really well can be exactly the same way, and unfortunately, they tend to get a pass because those are more accepted in church, and drama is a little different. And, I guess that was one of the biggest things that it's been important for me to see in my own life is to say, why do I do that? And tell people why I do it. That's why I'm, before we practice, before we perform, we pray, and we want to, give that example. Well, we'll continue to talk more about Christian drama in just a minute. This is Hope on Fire. Welcome back. This is Hope on Fire, relevant talk radio for young adults. This week we are talking about Christian drama and how it fits into a contemporary church service. And joining me are three very, good friends of mine and also very experienced actors as far as when it comes to Christian drama. Craig Moore, Tami Cinquemani, and John Tary. Welcome back. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Let me, coming out of the break, let me just ask you a really quick question. What's your favorite sketch that you've ever been in? What maybe your favorite thing that you've done as far as Christian drama, and why?
Do you mind?
Sure, John. You go
Go.
first.
Well, I think you touch on the fact that when you first start drama groups, it's easier to do the ones that are a bit humorous, kind of lighthearted. It kind of fits in. The pastor can pull it and do his part of the show, I guess you call it. But I think for me, after you get to a point where you giggle, and then you want to test yourself. You want to see where you're at. And I got to do one with a good friend of ours, and he was a father-son. Distant relation, a very touchy subject, but it got to me, and it actually got to him to the point where when he was crying on stage, and when we talked later, he goes, because I looked at you and I saw my son, because he has a son close to my age.
Right.
But oddly enough, I hope the audience enjoyed it half as much as I did, but I think I received as much of a message from that as anywhere. So, you get those moments.
Yeah, and you know what, I'll get to you guys' answer. John, I really like John's answer, so I'm going to stick with this for a little bit and run with it.
Excellent.
That's really cool, because that's one of the powerful things that drama can really do. on stage or part of the worship services, people can identify with something that they see like that. It's sometimes it's a little easy for if a pastor was talking about a sensitive subject, and in this case it was actually AIDS, I think. That they can feel they can distance themselves while I'm being preached to. Right. But when they see something actually portrayed, it's a lot easier for them to be absorbed into what's being discussed and to identify with what's on stage, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think what happens is we have a tendency to be able to separate ourselves because it's not real.
Right.
And when I see something, I can feel that emotion.
Right.
And I can now become part of that situation. And I think sometimes that's what, of course, why we all do dramas. It helps pull that person and that audience into the story.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like a spoken illustration or something.
Right.
What about you, Tami?
I've had so much fun doing so many, and a lot of it is, who you're working with. It's funny because I just thought of this now. I think the one that probably was the most life-changing for me was probably the very first drama I ever did. And I think because I had never, I grew up, my mother had a background in theater, so I had kind of grown up around community theater, but never really thought about doing it myself. And I was married to a minister and had my children. And when they got to an age where I could finally start actually participating in something that required a little bit of time, and we were starting a new service and using drama. And I know when I first mentioned I may want to be involved, people looked at me like, okay, this was just the little quiet pastor's wife that did nothing, and
Right.
really didn't think that I was. And I did this drama, and I remember just feeling afterwards just so thankful to God, because I thought, I can actually, here my husband's a minister, and I had always, through our marriage, looked for different avenues to jointly minister.
Right.
And it's like all of a sudden I found my niche.
Wow, yeah.
And it was so fun and so exciting. And I think that's one of the ways that when you're actually using a gift that God's given you, is you can't wait to do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's something that not only is so meaningful because it's something you've participated in, something that really is worth something, but it just excites you as much as you may be exhausted afterwards. And so that was, I think, probably my most memorable.
Right. Well, Craig, we'll have to probably get to your answer on our next show.
All right.
Because John's and Tammy's was great answers, but a little too long. So we'll get to you, Craig, later. But I guess what can we tell somebody who maybe is thinking, well, I would like to do drama where I'm at. What would be some of the ways that maybe they could introduce drama in a place where maybe they haven't done it before, or it might be kind of iffy, or they're just not sure how it might be received? What do you think, Tami?
I would say definitely to start out slow, particularly if you're not sure how people are going to receive it, because you don't want to offend anybody. Honestly, the truth of the matter is people are entitled to feel the way they feel.
Right.
And sometimes if you introduce things slowly to people, they warm up to them. And so I think doing something like a dramatic reading of a scripture.
Okay.
Something like that. Maybe get 3 or 4 people to do a reader's theater type thing. That's more of a scripture reading.
Right. Like a call to worship would be a cool
Exactly.
thing. Right.
Exactly. Something like that. I think definitely is kind of a good way to introduce something into your church.
What other ways?
I think the type of service too. Maybe not necessarily introducing it during the divine hour,
Right.
But maybe working it into, if you're fortunate enough to have a church that has multiple services, maybe a more contemporary service, or if you have services during the week that are geared towards
like a Vespers or a prayer
audience.
meeting or something.
Right.
Introducing it slowly in that kind of venue, and
Right.
just as Tami said, getting people warmed up to the idea.
What about biblical dramas?
You put a Bible costume on, you can pretty much do anything
That's
you want.
Yeah, I'm Judas, but I can talk like a 20th century guy, kind of, right.
The other thing I think that's so important is you really have to have the pastor aboard with the thought.
Yes.
An illustration that is not utilized is now a distraction, and we mentioned that earlier. Even if it could be tied in and it just wasn't,
Right.
we start to do that here and there. The pastor has to be involved, even whether it starts off very slow, a little reading, just a brief illustration, working in his sermon. But I think he has to be part of this, and he has to believe in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as he utilizes that, I think it helps the audience see what the purpose of it was.
Right, and I think that's, like I said, we've done dramas that have been standalone. I've done Christian dramas that are, couple acts and 2 hours long. But the majority of the work that we've done has been, 5, 6, 7 minute vignettes, essentially, that don't stand alone. They are essentially an illustration and purely there to you know, I hate to say draw people in because it sounds like we're trying to market to the audience or we're trying to market to people that are sitting in the pews, but that's not necessarily it. But I guess there is a component to that. We want to draw people in, get their attention, and focus them, right, onto what is about to transpire.
It's kind of a warm-up to what the topic is. Or
Right.
what,
And I think it goes back to motive. I think those of us who've participated in Christian drama, we're not there to upstage anything else that's happening in the service.
Right.
We're not there to be a distraction.
No.
We definitely want to be there to be an addition to,
Right.
you know, to the worship service and in addition to the sermon. So I definitely agree with what John was saying. It's you know, we have to be in sync with the message.
Doing drama for drama's sake is not drama ministry.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so maybe people are, you know, there's someone out there, they have an existing drama team or they're just starting and we've done a couple and we're not sure how to get any better at it. I guess, you know, for the last, you know, couple minutes that we've got, what are some tips from your vast knowledge that you guys have? What are some of the tips that, you know, you guys could, okay, John.
I got this one. Pray.
Right.
right.
There you go.
You know,
That's true.
You talk about that. I think one of the first things is find the gift of a director. Find that person that has that gift. Maybe wants to be in the spotlight, maybe not, but find that gift because that person can lead you in so many positive directions. You know, without that, you sometimes can find yourself lost.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to plan on doing something every week to start out with. You know, start slow.
Right.
Once a month, once every other week, something
Right.
like that. Because you don't want to overtax yourself and stress out about it. It needs to be something that you enjoy.
And I think honing your talent too. You know, when we were in college, we had the benefit of having a more experienced troupe come in and train us for 2 days. Now, not saying every church has that kind of resource, but even for some of the drama ministries that you can find on the web, you know, you may be able to view the particular sketch that you may want to do at your church service, but being able to hone the character or the theatrics,
right.
the craft,
Right.
so that you're better in portraying
that brings up an interesting point because you alluded to that, you know, the first half of the show is that, you know, bad drama can be distracting. And I think I've seen it a lot of places that, well, okay, I can't play an instrument, I can't sing, so I can act.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, what's the danger in that?
Oh, wow. The danger in that is the danger of presenting something that could be a beautiful thing, a beautiful addition to your church in a very negative way. And I, you know, we all say that. And of course, that comes down to why do I need a good director? Because a good director has to learn how to gently remind somebody, maybe to encourage them. There are people that want to participate and they can't act. And then that becomes a distraction. And and I don't know how to correct that. I wish I did. I'd write a short book for you, but I don't. But, you know, that's an issue. It's not, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, so this is what I'll do kind of mission, I hope.
And I've sat in the audience of many a bad drama that's been on stage. It's like watching a car crash. Right. You know, and so
instead of augmenting, instead of being an addition to, it's almost it's more of a distraction. So
that's all you
the sermon starts, and all you can think about was, wow, how bad that was.
Right. Drama needs to be done with excellence. God deserves that.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is we're participating in part of the worship experience, and that should be done with excellence. It should be done with you know, rehearsal with people who, you know, truly feel a call to this ministry. And sometimes somebody may feel a call to this ministry and not necessarily have a talent to be the actor.
Right.
There's so many other things to do. There's staging, there's props, there's, you know, directing, there's, you know, so many different aspects that you can get people involved in. Sometimes even just matching the sermon to a drama, finding the resource.
Well, let me ask you real quick. We have about a minute left. What are some of the really good resources that you might recommend, Tami, for people to go to on the web, especially?
There's two, possibly three. Willow Creek is wonderful. WillowCreek.com. They've got a search engine for topics in their service builder. CrosspointScripts.com, same thing. They actually have a membership thing where you can get scripts continuously, like every month or something. And Lilianus also, you know, has got some really good stuff. But my favorites are probably Willow and Crosspoint.
And on the other hand, too, you have to be really careful because there's a lot of garbage out there, too. I mean, by garbage, this is not well-written stuff.
There is a ton. I mean, a ton. If you Google Christian drama, you will see so many incredible sites, and I do not want to tell you all the money that I've wasted on buying scripts from different places.
And I
that
have to say,
wasn't.
now you've written over 60 scripts yourself, so
I have.
we will have a link to your scripts on our
Thank you.
website. So yeah,
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. So anyway, hopefully we've presented the topic of Christian drama in a new way to many in our audience. I mean, maybe we've changed some minds, given hope to those who maybe want to use their talents in a new way for God, and inspired others on how to improve an existing drama ministry. If you want to find out more information or tell us how you feel about this topic, we would love to have you visit us on the web at www.hopeonfire.org. Finally, back in college, a professor of mine who is a staunch opponent of church drama was asked to write a magazine article about some of the ministries on campus, including the drama team. He interviewed 2 of the troop members, and afterwards he had a surprising admission. His stance on Christian drama had changed. After listening to the reasons why the students did drama ministry in the first place, the passion in their hearts, and hearing stories of how the ministry had impacted not only audience members, but also the performers themselves, he saw Christian drama in a completely new light. While he still didn't prefer drama as part of the church service, like one might not prefer a certain style of music, he had found a newfound appreciation for the diversity of talents and gifts that God has given his church. And he told me, who am I to tell God how it should be done? For Hope on Fire, I'm Rick Mann. Thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Hope on Fire is produced by Livestreams Media, a listener-supported ministry. To download a free copy of today's program or be a part of our social network, please visit our website at hopeonfire.org. You may also contact us by writing to Livestreams Media, P.O. Box 608513, Orlando, Florida 32860. Once again, that's Livestreams Media, P.O. Box 608513, Orlando, Florida 32860, or online at hopeonfire.org. Thank you so much for your letters and continued support. Until next time, may God set your hope on fire.